Hello, thank you for joining us. My name is Jason Yoho. I am the Chief Commercial Officer at 2NDNATURE Software. We're very pleased to be here today to tell you about 2NDNATURE and some of the work that we're doing with our partners to help MS4 permit holders. I'm here to talk about how cloud-based enterprise stormwater management is helping our industry by pulling together strategic planning, asset management, and regulatory compliance. I spent 15 years in Silicon Valley before joining 2NDNATURE Software, really focused on helping companies understand how to adopt the cloud. The government at every level is going through a digital transformation. The EPA's e-reporting rules and platform is a great example of that. The healthcare industry was the last major industry in the US to go through this digital transformation. It wasn't that long ago when we went into a doctor's office, we found that to get access to our records from another doctor, they had to pick up the phone or they had to send a fax. Of course, everything has changed, and that industry has completely embraced the cloud-based model, and we find that the stormwater industry is doing exactly the same thing. A little bit about 2NDNATURE Software to help you understand where we're coming from and how we're developing our perspective on the stormwater industry. 2NDNATURE Software builds an open cloud platform for running stormwater programs, measuring program effectiveness, and compliance and reporting automation. Our vision, and we do this because implementing green stormwater infrastructure captures and cleans urban stormwater runoff, which reduces pollution, improves climate resiliency. For example, increase capacity where it's needed for high-risk areas in the urban landscape, or reuse in areas where water is needed for irrigation due to dry weather or drought, or recharge opportunities. As we increase transparency and access to data and information, we enable our industry to focus on the outcome, cleaner and healthier communities. 2NDNATURE Software is an early-stage technology company based in Santa Cruz, California, with customers in over 14 states and over $7 billion worth of assets being managed by our platform. We're the fastest growing enterprise software company in the industry. Our mission is to use the power of the cloud and geographic information systems to get dynamic, science-informed information into your hands to help with MS4 program decision making. We have a core competency not just in stormwater, but also in big data. If there's one thing driving the trust we're building with customers and regulators, it's our commitment to open science. We set and hold ourselves accountable to the highest standard in the stormwater industry. Scientific, peer-reviewed, and journal-published methods and models. The stormwater industry is rapidly changing and evolving. The infrastructure funding announcement and environmental equity plans of the Biden administration are an example of some of the macro factors influencing and accelerating our industry. Like all of you, we rely on our partners to help us understand how we can be a part of this evolution to meet your needs and to enable a digital service delivery model. We have many types of partners that are invested in this common vision. Today, we're pleased to be joined by the CEO of Craftwater Engineering. You'll hear from Chad shortly. Gives us a tremendous amount of insight into some of the challenges that we all know at different levels. We have, at the local level, a shortage of funding expertise. Information is locked away and it's static. What we have found is when we centralize programs, when we centralize management of assets, we unlock that traffic jam. We start decreasing the level of effort required to produce compliance. We start decreasing the amount of time it takes to demonstrate that compliance. And we really start creating an accelerator for project identification and project implementation. What our data shows across the 14 states we're working with is an order of magnitude or a factor of 10x acceleration in the ability of the program to move and implement new projects. We use our methods and models to produce dynamic stormwater opportunity maps. We then use the mapped outputs of the 2NDNATURE platform to identify where the greatest opportunities for improvement across various metrics For example, where the greatest amount of stormwater volumes are lost from the city, where the greatest pollution or trash issues are in the permit holder boundary. Or we can extend requirements beyond those that are regulated to consider things like community-based multi-benefits. Can we create green space? Can we extend it even further to consider social economic factors like are there disadvantaged portions of our community where we want to invest in green stormwater infrastructure to create a park or to redo an important urban corridor? And if we step back for a minute and we unpack the requirement and the need, of course it's driven by the regulation as represented in the permit. But what we've learned is that there's truly an enterprise requirement for data. Data that touches information, operations system support, business system support data and workflows. Compliance is about easily reporting and verifying. From a business standpoint, it's requirements to measure and report progress. From an operations standpoint, it's about managing work and doing things in a timely manner. And of course, asset information, location, condition, related to the overall program minimum control measures are all important inputs that define this enterprise requirement. When we pull it all together, it's about having a capacity, a capability to be able to monitor, measure, report in an easy way with minimal effort over time so that we can see progress of individual assets, of individual program areas, or even across an entire program or in an aggregate across multiple programs from a watershed perspective. And with that, I'd like to introduce Chad from Craftwater Engineering. He's here to talk about the applied side of these things. From his perspective as a longtime engineer in the stormwater industry, how this has evolved and how the industry is embracing the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jason. As Jason said, my name is Chad Helmley. I'm the president and co-founder of Craftwater Engineering. My colleagues and I have had the good fortune to serve this industry across the country on the West Coast and major municipalities on the East Coast as well. And we've been doing that for many years. And as we considered how to construct this company, we felt it was important to service the full spectrum of the industry. And it starts with establishing good science, water quality science and regulations. And then you move, once you know what you're supposed to be achieving, you can then plan how you're going to achieve that through modeling and master planning, for instance. But ultimately, this is all about building infrastructure, green infrastructure, nature-based solutions, gray infrastructure. It's about changing our watersheds in one way, shape, or form. Often these facets of the industry are approached in a siloed manner. You simply work on the water quality science or a regulatory project or a watershed map modeling or planning project or a design and feasibility project. But the reality is we need continuity across the entire industry. We have to make sure that what it is we are intending in terms of water quality outcomes, we are making sure that the thread the needle is thread through the modeling and planning, and then ultimately this is achieved through building infrastructure. And so there's this continuity that is missing from the industry so often across these facets. And what we have been missing is some sort of data management platform to connect the dots for us. So we can so when we're planning projects, we're planning using the same exact data that was used to drive water quality science and regulations. When we're building projects, we're using the same exact data and asset information that was used to do all of the planning and modeling. And that ensures this continuity from the cradle to grave. And we can have a much better certainty that what we are building in the environment, it matches what we had planned, which matches the outcomes that we are seeking in terms of water quality science and regulations. So there is a tremendous need in this industry to have a data management platform come in and service this industry. It's already existing in many other water fields and civil engineering fields. It's time for stormwater as an emerging science-based industry to come to the realization that such a platform is right for this industry and can help us connect those dots. So seeing this come to fruition would be tremendously helpful from my perspective.
Thank you, Chad, for that overview on Craftwater Engineering. We value very much our relationship with Craftwater and with you, and we look forward to answering any questions that any of the people watching might have about how they can benefit from this type of thinking and this type of approach. I'd like to now transition over to Michelle Tanner. Michelle's going to give us a demo of the Second Nature platform and show everyone this in action.
Great. Thanks, Jason. So the Second Nature platform is entirely cloud-based. What that means is that all you need is a web browser to access our software. When you first log in, you'll be directed to this landing page. You'll see that we have modules on the right-hand side that align to specific minimum control measures within a stormwater permit. Each one of these modules uses a geospatial database to display and inventory assets and contains various applications to use in the field. On the left-hand side are modules for annual reporting and strategic planning. Now, the cool thing about Second Nature is that the annual reporting is entirely automated. As you add information and inspections in your data management modules, we're able to produce automated map and chart summaries, dashboard views, and even estimate pollution reduction from various BMPs. So let's go into our structural BMP module first. Here you'll see that the main focus throughout the module is a map of your MS4. So you can turn on layers on and off just like a typical GIS, and you can click on points in the map to get more information about that asset. If you click into the inventory, here you'll see that Second Nature is able to actually reverse geocode addresses, identify parcel information, and get things like latitude and longitude. We also have dynamic field forms. So what that means is that our forms will only ever show you information in fields that are relevant to that asset. So if I change this BMP type to sediment trap, you'll see that the forms will change. We also have drainage delineation tools built into the product. So if I need to delineate a drainage area to this BMP, I can do so directly in the product without actually having to flip between GIS and Second Nature. And lastly, built into our modules are operations and maintenance workflows. So users can put in inspection frequencies and actually require which observations are done at each site. We also have a full inventory of all of the inspections that were done on site, and you can also flip through various photos that were taken in the field. Now let's go into our reporting tool. So like I mentioned before, everything is automated. So as long as you're updating data in each of your modules, you're adding those inspections in the field, we do all of the analytics and the summarization for you. But I think the coolest thing about this tool is our pollution reduction modeling. So we're able to actually pull in rainfall data sets, soil maps, which is what's shown here, impervious and land use layers, connectivity layers, and we're actually able to use all of those data to estimate baseline pollution loads. And then we can take those results and actually aggregate them up to drainages within your city. So here we can see that the dark drainages are those areas that have the highest relative pollution loads delivered to the receiving waters. But then we can actually take this one step further and now include things like structural BMPs and street sweeping into our model. And then we can generate these progress maps. So here you can see at the bottom that we've estimated pollution reductions from various BMPs. We can then also view this in a progress chart. So as you implement new programs and new structures over time, you can see your pollution reduction increase. And just like anything throughout the Second Nature product, you can always spatially filter things by receiving waters, different drainages. Everything is always spatially filterable. And then when it comes time to submit your annual report, all you need to do is click the reports that you need to submit, click submit, and then that will actually send a notification to your regulator with a read-only portal where they can then view your results.